All right, you guys. So I'm going to share my baked macaroni and cheese recipe. And to start off, I am pouring about a box and a half into some boiling water with some salt. So the water had already started boiling. So now I'm just pouring in half of the second box of macaroni. Now that the noodles are boiled, I did not boil them too soft, just kind of in between because I didn't want them to be really soft. So if you make the macaroni and cheese, just make sure that you don't over boil them. And also, I do rinse mine off with some cool water. Some people don't, but it's up to you. But I like to rinse it off with some cool water so that way when I put them into the oven, they are going to cook some more. So it won't break up the noodles. If that makes any sense. So I ran some cool water on them. Make sure that the water is drained out. And I'm going to use the same pot that I took the noodles out of just to mix up the ingredients that I'll be using. And you'll see that in just a few seconds. So to make baked macaroni and cheese is really simple, really easy. All you'll need is some milk, eggs, butter, sour cream. I use sour cream. Some people don't, but I like to use sour cream, and also shredded cheese. The cheese that I'll be using is Mexican blend, sharp cheddar, and mild cheddar. And that's all you need for the macaroni and cheese. Plus you will want to add a little seasoning. I don't know what kind of seasoning you want to use, but I'm using black pepper, seasoned salt, and what else did I put in there? A little adobe seasoning. I just put a little bit. Now I didn't want to put like a lot of salt because cheese is already salty, so you just don't need that much. And I added my eggs. Now some people, you can beat the eggs before you pour it into the macaroni and cheese, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but it really doesn't matter. Now I'm going to add my butter, and I will be adding sour cream, and then I just mix it up, and then I'll add in the milk and the cheese. So I use 3 eggs because I did make 1.5 boxes of elbow noodles. So for that box and a half, I use 3 eggs. So now I'm sprinkling in just a little bit of the adobe seasoning and a little seasoned salt and some black pepper. Also, you will need paprika, but you'll use that once you put the macaroni and cheese into the pan and everything. You'll use that last. So now I'm just mixing all of this together, and this is really easy. This is beginner friendly, I guess you could say, but it's real easy to make. So I'm just mixing those ingredients up before I add in my milk and my cheese. Now you can add, like once you put it into the pan, you'll be able to see if you need just a little bit more milk. And if you do, then you can still add it while it's in the pan. Now, you don't want the macaroni and cheese to be really soupy. Like, you don't want the noodles floating in the pan. You don't want that. But make sure that you get a stick of butter and grease the pan like I'm doing. I'm greasing the bottom of the pan and the sides. Now I'm going to add the noodles to the pan, and this is where I can tell if I need to add any more milk, because right now it's just a little too stiff. So I am going to add just a little bit more milk, and when I add a little bit more milk, then that's when I add in just a little bit of cheese. So you'll be able to tell once you put it into the pan. And I'm just moving the noodles around just to see if I need to add some more milk, which I do. And I'm just going to add just a little bit. Now I'm going to cover up the top of the macaroni and cheese with what is it, mild cheddar, a little sharp cheddar, and that's just going to be for the top. Now I'm going to sprinkle the top with some paprika and a little black pepper and cover it with some aluminum foil. I set the oven to 400 degrees only because I have some baked pork chops in the oven as well. So that's why I set it to 400 degrees, but it's going to cook for maybe about 45 minutes, 40 minutes. That's how long. Plus my pork chops are almost finished. So I took the pork chops out first. And the macaroni and cheese just came out the oven. So here's what it looks like. So really easy to make. All right, so let me just, because it is hot, just came out the oven, but this is what it looks like. Dig into that mac and cheese. You have to let it sit for a while, for a few minutes to cool off, but this is the consistency when you just take it out the oven.